Dez.
Dez, John from Music Frenzy, sir. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, dude. It's been a journey for me to get to this point to talk to you.
Okay.
And let me explain why. I guess it was about 2 years ago, you opened up, Devil Driver opened up for Guar, and you guys were at the Electric Factory, and I had an interview scheduled, and I know that the bus came late, and then I spoke to the tour manager, and he had thought it was a video interview, so you were taking a shower. In the interim, my son called me and said I had to come pick him up at school, so I didn't get to talk to you at all, and now 2 years later, I'm speaking to you finally, so I'm thankful.
I'm glad that you put it together, man.
Yeah. So what's going on? How's your day making out today, chatting to all of us Cold Chamber fans?
Everything's good, man. It's been overwhelmingly positive. I mean, you kind of live in a bubble as an artist until you put out the secure link and you start letting people really hear the record. And it's been incredible, overwhelmingly positive. And the things that I'm hearing back, I mean, from even the most cynical of guys that I've talked to for the last 20 years, that only write on black metal or hipsters, like, are emailing me going, dude, I can't get this record out of my player. So
Yeah.
It's been an incredible journey to get to this point, and now with the record coming out here in a few weeks, it's getting to the point where I'm getting overloaded. I'm loving it,
Yeah, cool. And I mean, after 13 years, the band's back together. Rivals, I mean, it's a great album. It's strong from start to finish. Obviously anyone who has Sirius XM knows the first track, I Owe You Nothing, is on Liquid Metal all the time.
Right.
And that's just the beginning. There's so many great tunes. I mean, in my opinion, I think one of the next singles should be Over My Head. I just love that song. I sing the chorus all the time, Dez. It's just a fantastic song.
Well, thank you very much, man. We're getting a lot of positive feedback. I think the record from start to finish is killer. And, what people need to know about Cold Chamber releasing Rivals after 13 years is nobody wanted to be part of the nostalgic trip. Nobody wanted to go down the early 90s road whatsoever. That being said, we were talking about getting together in 2006, and in 2009, we actually demoed 2 songs together. And when we listened back, it really harkened back to the old sound. It sounded like one Cold Chamber, and none of us were into doing it at that time and moving. We wanted the sound to move forward. So if you cut to 2013-14, I started hearing the music that Meeks was writing, specifically more mature, for sure, arrangement-wise, riff-wise, everything. And it just, I think now is the time. Communication was open with the band. We're writing good stuff, and we're writing music that's an evolution. And I think that's the only thing we wanted to be part of. We didn't want to be part of some nostalgic trip at all.
Yeah, and I get that vibe too. It's something fresh and new from the band. In looking at the webisodes also that you guys have out, it gives a pretty good insight into some of the recording process and writing processes that the band went through.
Right.
Vocally speaking, there's clips of you, I believe, laying down tracks for Over My Head, and just the intensity in that little recording booth, dude, was just mind-blowing, very impressive.
Thank you for that. I mean, I laid most of the takes in 1, 2, or 3 takes, sang the songs all the way through. We didn't record this thing to a click track, so we couldn't cut and paste. I couldn't spend 2 hours taking the amazing chorus and then cutting it into the whole song, which is what people do now. It really has a push and a pull and a feel. The sounds, the textures on this record, the drumming, and everything just has a new sound. And what's really cool is when I'm doing interviews and I'm talking to somebody that's been talking to me for 20 years, and one guy actually wrote about my first record, and he said to me, man, I can't believe it. Like, when I wrote about your first record, it was like these guys have stumbled upon a new sound, a sound of their own. Congratulations to that. And he's like, and now I got to tell you again, I can't believe it, but you guys have stumbled on a new sound. I think you're going to create something different and new again. And it's like, I think that's what art is about. It's about being relentless in your pursuits, but also being, kind of free and carefree in what you do within that art in order to grow. And where we're at now as a band, it's phenomenal after 13-year hiatus.
Yeah, and I like the fact that it's, not overdubbed and layered too much. When you guys just came through last month in Philly, I was backstage and interviewed Mikey, and he kind of said the same thing, that it is what it is. You guys came in, and I know Nadia took like 4 days and banged out the bass licks, and your vocals were on usually most of the takes that were used on the album were the first take. And I think that's genuine. It comes through as something raw and fresh. And again, I can't say enough about it. It's a really, really cool album.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We didn't want anything overproduced. I mean, even if we doubled something up or whatever, it really had to belong there. Much of the vocals are clearly just single and me hitting them in the moment. I love the fact that all the choruses are different because they're not cut and paste, because there is no click track on it, and it just has a different feel. So I think people are going to enjoy it. I mean, the one thing that you're going to take away is hopefully, is I push play on that again. I want to hear that stuff again.
I like to just put it on, go for a long drive, and listen from track one to the last track. And I've done that with Rivals numerous times, and it's just a great listen. Rivals is a great song. Over My Head, it just stays in your head. Lyrically, it's very cool, it's very intense, but vocally, the way that you just laid down the chorus, it's just you can't get away from it. It just stays with you.
Thank you very much. I mean, part and parcel of the music that these guys delivered, I was blessed to be a part of. It opened a palette for me of colors that I could use that I haven't used in a long time vocally, and I could do whatever on this record. And somebody used the word expectations as well. And what are your expectations, with the outcome or with the release? Or I said, well, it has to do with in the recording. You don't have expectations. You do what you do. That way you don't skew your art for any kind of expectations. And it certainly Over My Head was one of those tracks that was like, once I was on the mic, boom, it was done. It just came right out. And you can hear it at the end of the track, the way I'm, coming out of the track.
Yeah.
I was emotionally invested in it. And even Mark Lewis said, hey, do you want to cut this part or do you want to leave this in? I said, in actuality, I think you should leave it in and show people that, there was a vocalist in there that was emotionally invested in it. That wasn't the fifth or sixth hour we've been working on it. That was probably the second or third take.
Wow, very cool. The Philly show was just incredible, man, and the Philly crowd just really brought it for you guys. And I was lucky enough to be in the photo pit, and I saw something that I don't think a lot of people saw. I was able to see side stage as the house lights went down, and as you guys were getting ready to go onto the stage, and Mikey was already down, and he was limbering up, and then I saw Nadia come down, gave you a hug. Miggs came down, gave you a hug, and then the four of you just gave like one big group hug, and then went on stage. And in my opinion, it's just another show. It's you're on tour, you're playing Philly, you go into the next town. But when I saw that, it didn't seem that way. It seemed like you guys were really going to give it your all, and the family coming out to jam. It was really, really special.
Absolutely. You're catching the right vibe there. I mean, we're very appreciative in life to have this thing back. I mean, I don't know if we struck a nerve or if people just have very long memories, but I think it's a little bit of both. And we're very appreciative to have this back. I mean, the thing that should resonate with anyone that's listening to this is, in life, if you have a chance to make up with somebody that you fell out with, who was a really good friend, and you had a horrible falling out, and it may take you 13 years to get over it, maybe one day if you see them at Starbucks or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, walk over and say hello, or that ex-love, or that ex-boss that fired you, rightly so. Walk back in and be like, I'm glad you fired me. I got my shit together now because of it. And music was all of that. We were best friends. We might as well have been married together, and we had a business together. And so all of those things, when it fell apart, all of those things fell apart. And how blessed are we to be able to at least rekindle this friendship, have enough open communication that even during the interim as we're getting back together, little things sprung up here and there, that we could just go, hold on a minute, let's talk about it. And we would talk about it and go, oh, okay, how come we didn't never do that before? Well,
yeah,
this maturity wasn't there, and all the rock and roll cliches in the world broke us up, man, from money to drugs to women to ego to fame, all of it, man, all of it. And none of those things are going to come in the way of Coal Chamber. My drummer is sober, and I don't think if he was not sober, this band would definitely not be back together. Meeks is married. My drummer's got a new baby boy, a year-old baby boy he loves with all his heart. And I'm watching these guys grow up in life. I'm watching them write more mature music. I'm watching the communication be so incredible over the years now that it was a no-brainer when they said, do you want to make a record? And the coincidence of this is killer. But in 20 years, I've never taken a break. So with Coal Chamber in the beginning days, it's like we toured the world with Black Sabbath, with Pantera, numerous times, with Megadeth, with you name it. We never came off the road.
Yeah.
When we broke up, I got right back on the road with Devil Driver for almost 13 years straight and 6 records. So that being said, I was taking 2 years off. This is my off time right now. And I told my wife, I said, we've been married 18, but we've only known each other 4. And we laugh at it, but it's actually true. I'm like, I want to be home with my family. So in the interim of me taking 2 years off, I think Coal Chamber, knowing I had a home studio, knowing my main focus was like literally being normal and having dinner every night with my family,
right,
was the main gig, said to me, hey dude, you can record during the day and then have dinner with your family. Would you mind doing a record? And I said, no, let's do a record. Once the record turned out killer, it was like, you took a half off. Do you want to take, do you want to do 6 weeks in the United States anytime you want? And I said, yeah, you know what? Let me have another couple months off after the record, just unwind from that, and then let's go do 6 weeks in the States, And then it became, okay, now you've got another, couple months off right here. You think you may want to do 8 days during that amount of time to go do Monsters of Rock with Ozzy and Jesus Priest and Motorhead? I was like, yeah, let's go do that.
Yeah.
And that's really how things are rolling out. It's not like a normal record cycle. It's not like do a record and go tour on it for 3 years straight and do this, break the band, and all this other. It really has to be, are we having fun first? Is there time enough in the day second? And then how well are the shows being received, which the shows have been received amazing, and the meet and greets have been incredible before the show, especially talking to all the young, there's a lot of, it's predominantly a young fan base that comes out.
Yeah.
Which is a trip, because I'm thinking, dude, you were not born when I made local.
Yeah.
You're 17. How did you find us? And I think that's another blessing in disguise. That we came back after this many years, and it's not like, that the place is full of 40-year-olds or something. Now, granted, you have those that come out and they bring their families, they bring their kids too. I grew up on you guys. I want my 8-year-old, my 9-year-old, my 12-year-old to see you guys. And
yeah.
That's another facet of things that are cool. With a band, after you've been together a long time, you get to see that diversity in the fans. And I'm sure grateful for that, totally.
Yeah, and I have a 15-year-old son, and he's starting to develop the affinity for playing guitar, and he's got a band working, and I took him to the show, and it was funny because when he was a younger guy, one of the very first songs that I turned him on to was Big Truck, because it's a clean song, it's very heavy, trucks and boys, and that kind of started the fire,
And then if I could tell you how many times I've heard that. You know what you got to do is you got to support your kids, especially in their musical endeavors. The schools nowadays are taking away all of those outside resources, those music programs and art programs, and I find it terrible. And
yeah.
My youngest son is 17, and he's an incredible drummer, and he started with drumline at school. And I supported that 100% with anything I could, either going to the shows or donating to whatever cause that the school was doing, and so last year, he got to go and play, march for the president of the United States of America in Washington.
Wow!
And in the parade that was on national TV, and I thought to myself, man, this is he's a musician. He's a musician, he's a drummer, and he's on TV. It's like, well, how much more does the apple have to fall close to the tree? But you have to support your kids in their endeavors and get involved with their life, and be friends with them. I've got 3 boys, and I'm friends with them all, and I think that's an important thing,
Oh, I totally agree. One of the things that struck me with the Philly show, Dez, was your choice of set list, because the first 3 songs were Big Truck Loco and I Owe You Nothing. 3 of the main big smashes were the first 3 songs to open up, and it really got everybody up on the feet and excited for everything else that came through. It was very cool.
thank you. I mean, what's cool is when you hear that stuff back, when you hear like local big truck big active back at IOU, and then you hear those sounds, and it's crazy how it doesn't sound dated. I mean, you're hearing a brand new song, and you're hearing songs that were done in 95, 96. It's unreal, and that's kind of why we put those back to back too. So you can be like, here's the world where we started, here's the world we are now. Now we got that out of the way. Let's get into the rest of the catalog and boogie through this whole thing, and then we close all the time. We have our full life with Sway, and I don't see that ever changing, and the crowd goes crazy. So it's been an incredible journey, and like I said, I'd be remiss not to just keep repeating this. But if you ever have a chance to make up with somebody in life, by all means, reach out. I mean, the healing process within yourself is just it's an incredible thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you guys have planned next touring cycle?
Well, we leave on the 18th to go to Europe. We've got UK shows in mainland Europe, and London is already sold out, which is great.
Wow.
We come home for about a month, maybe a month and a half, and I do believe we're getting ready to announce some shows in late July or August, but I can't confirm that right now. We're trying to work on some stuff. It's festival season. There's a lot of bands out touring, and oftentimes you don't want to go out against a million bands. But I have a different mentality, which is if you're a Cold Chamber fan, it doesn't matter who's coming to your town, you'll come see us. So
right.
That being said, if we can come out late July all the way through August, that'd be an ultimate time for us. With the record out, we can play more songs off the record as well, which I definitely want to do.
Very cool. Well, I hope you guys bring the show back to Philly. It was a great night, man, and it was good to see you guys back. And like I said, Mikey was very accommodating backstage, and I appreciate your time today. Also talking about the album.
Yeah, no problem, man. I mean, look, I've always enjoyed Philadelphia. It's always been a great city to play, and a lot of people don't know this, but our first big show really was we were playing the Trocadero in front of nobody on a tour that Cold Chamber was on, our very first tour. There was nobody there. And I looked up in the truck. I looked up and I saw Glen Danzig, or what I thought was Glen Danzig.
Okay.
And there was only one or two bodies up there, and he came back after the show and said, we're kicking this one band off our tour. And as a matter of fact, we're playing the Electric Factory tomorrow night here in Philly. Would you guys like to join our tour? And that next night we played, sold out Electric Factory, Glen Danzig, Danzig show, and Cold Chamber from there really started to move. So Philly played a major part for sure in Cold Chamber's start, and I've never forgotten that town.
That is very cool, man. I wish I was at that show.
Well, I mean, it was the truth, because you know the Trocadero, and people listening to this, if you've been to the Troc, you know it, so you got to picture it literally empty, and no one in the balcony, and I'm singing like 3 or 4 songs, and I keep thinking I see like a silhouette of Glen Danzig up there, and sure enough, afterwards he came backstage.
That's crazy.
And we've been friends ever since. I mean, he came out to the LA show recently, so it's somebody that I admire and I've always looked up to, and helped me start my career. So, kudos to you, fucking Glenn. You're the man.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Dez, I appreciate the time, and you have a good afternoon, and I'll see you when you come back through Philly, man.
All right, brother. Thank you for your time.
All right, Dez. Thank you.